So, if your system is not working, you fire shots, nothing is appearing on monitors, and the status light on your SDU is not working. When you run a system check in Pegasus, if you have that, you don't find any targets and so on. It's probably something wrong with the communication down to the target server. So one way to do this is to go through a certain procedure. We have to remember that we have several links in this chain of communication between the firing line and the target line. We have the SDU, we have the connection box at your firing line, we have the cable going down to your target line, we have a power supply of some kind. Basically the signal is just going through there and into your target server, the first target, the one closest to your power supply by the target in the target line. So to do this in a systematic way, we want to start at the SDU side and try to verify if the SDU is functional or not before we proceed and connect one part by another to see how far we can get to try to isolate where the issue is. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure that the SDU is functioning, at least probably functioning. So we know from the initial video that the whole thing is based on a current loop, and we know that the current source is in the SDU, and if we close the current loop, the communication LED is going to go off. So from the drawings we were looking at, so we saw that we have the communication lines is on 1 and 2. And if we take a look at the signal cable from the SDU, we can see that the connection points in the connector is actually numbered. And we see that we have 1 and 2 also here. So if we make a connection between point 1 and 2 on this connector, we should see that the communication LED on the SDU is actually turned off if we have a functional SDU. So I have made a connection between point 1 and 2. It's important to use 1 and 2, not 1 and 3 or any other combination between 1 and 2. And what we can see here now is that we have a comm light which is off. It's flashing a bit, and this is basically the SDU trying to communicate with the target. But that's not important in this respect. Okay, so at least from a hardware point of view, we're pretty sure that the SDU is functional. So what to do now? Well, we disconnect in the short here, and we verify that the comm light is getting on again. Okay, we have a disconnected current loop and the comm light is on. Next step will actually be to include the cable between the firing line and the target line. So we will connect the SDU to the signal line. So on the connection box for in the target line, we have the same kind of connector as we have on the SDU, and it's also labeled 1 and 2. So we have connected these two, and basically we are now doing the same check as we did initially, just with the SDU, but we have introduced one new element, and that's the signal line between the target line and firing line. And we can now see that the comm light is off still. We need to actually also verify that when we disconnect the connection between 1 and 2 down there at the target line, that the communication LED is on. Because if we do have a short in that line, we will have this behavior independently if we have our strap on or not. So by removing it, we can see that the current loop is open and no current is flowing, and therefore we have the red light on. So this is included, and open circuit there, COM light is red. So next step is to add another part of the chain, and that will be the power supply and the cable for that. So now I have connected the TPU, the power supply, to the signal cable, which is still connected all the way to the SDU. And I have taken the connector, which is normally put to the target server, and I've put the well-known strap there. And of course I have the connection between point 1 and 2. And this should then be the end of our current loop. And if everything is as it should be, then we should see, even though the power supply is off, the signal is just going straight through here, we should see that the COM light is off. Yes, so that's it's a positive thing for us right now. But again, we need to verify that if we remove the strap, we should see the COM light getting on, in case we have a short circuit of the signal wires in the power supply or in the cables there. But again, we have now verified that the communication all the way to the connector going into the target is okay. So now we are going to introduce the target into the system. So now everything is connected. We have our target server, it's connected. We have our TPU. Note, the TPU is off. And we have the communication line up to the firing line connected, and we have our SDU connected and powered on. And we can see that the COM light is on. So this is what it's supposed to be if the target server is okay. If the target server is not powered but connected, it should have an open circuit preventing the 20 milliamps to run. If we power on the target server, so I will switch on the power supply for the target now, we will see that the COM light is turning off, basically because the electronics inside the target server is it's powered and it's doing its thing. So right now we have a functional system, most probably. If the system still doesn't work, we have to remember that the target electronics might still be an issue, and in that case you might try to reconfigure any other of your targets to be a target server. Remember, all the targets are the same, they just need to be configured to be a target server. And if doing that, I would recommend to actually take a picture of each of the targets so you know the settings of these jumpers and so on before you start to rearrange the jumpers. Yeah, that's it.